Hey everybody, today I'm going to be baking a chocolate cake. Alright, so I really do hope that you try this one. If you have never ever tried anything in my videos before, I want you to try this one and I want you to tell me about the outcome, how it tastes, just everything about it. So I'm gonna get straight into the recipe, and in this bowl I have 2.5 cups of flour that is already sifted. I sift the flour because it's all-purpose flour. It makes the mixture lighter and the sifting acts as a raising agent. I am going to add to this 1 cup of cocoa powder, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm also going to add some coffee to this, but the thing with the coffee, I'm going to be adding it to some warm water, so that is not going to be mixed with the dry ingredients at this time. So all those dry ingredients that I just mentioned, I'm going to be sifting all of them in this flour, and you follow me as we go along. Really easy recipe I'm going to be doing. Alright, so this is the 1 cup of cocoa powder, and I'm going to be sifting this. I'm going to be adding the baking soda and the baking powder to this now. And it's 1 teaspoon baking soda. And the baking soda and the baking powder, these are raising agents, or you may hear some persons call them leavening agents. So this is 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm sifting everything together. I'm just using this spatula to help me. And believe me guys, this is like really easy. I'm going to be adding the salt to this at this time, and it's 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to be adding the sugar, and I'm going to combine everything together. So I'm just using the whisk to combine everything together. And this is like a cake mix style. You notice I'm not like creaming any butter and sugar together, and this is really easy, especially for beginners bakers like myself. So you're not gonna over mix this, just gonna ensure that everything is combined. Alright, so this is nice right here. I'm going to be preparing all the liquids now, or the wet ingredients together. Alright guys, so I'm going to be sorting out the wet ingredients now. So one of the little secrets to a good chocolate cake is to add coffee to it, and the coffee enhances the flavor of the chocolate in the cake. So I have here with me 1/4 cup of coffee. And this is actually warm, not very hot, it needs to be warm. So I have some coffee there, and to that I am going to add 1.5 cups of buttermilk. So this is the buttermilk, and I'm going to mix these together. So for the buttermilk, I actually didn't buy it. You can make your own buttermilk. For 1 cup of buttermilk, you add 1 tablespoon to just regular whole milk. Alright,
Tablespoon of what?
tablespoon of vinegar or lime. Thank you, Tonian. I am sorry, I didn't even realize that I was going so fast. I am going to add to this 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, So that's the vegetable oil. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Whisking everything together. And I'm going to be adding the eggs. And the reason I'm adding the eggs last is because I was trying to cool the temperature of the coffee down, because I don't want to cook the eggs. So I'm adding the eggs one at a time. And you don't want to leave your salt out of the dry ingredients, because it actually enhances the taste of the cake or the chocolate in the cake. So I'm nicely whisking everything together. You don't want the coffee too hot, because you can actually cook the egg. They will look scrambled in the mixture if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to move everything out of the way, because I'm going to be adding my liquid to the dry ingredients. So I'm just kind of tidying up the counter a little bit. You should start preheating your oven to 350 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. Sorry about that, guys. So this is my liquid ingredients together, and I'm going to be adding all of this to the dry ingredients, just a little at a time. If you want, of course, you can use your cake mix, not your cake mix, I mean your mixer, but I'm using this. And I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of water to this after I finish adding this egg mixture here. And you want to ensure that it's properly mixed, because you don't want any lumps in your cake. I'm just going to use this spatula to get all of this down in there, because I'm trying not to waste anything. Tonian doesn't like chocolate cake, so I'm actually going to make a vanilla cake just so that Tonian can have something to eat. I'm going to be adding some water to this now. And I used the cup that had the buttermilk in it, that's why it looked white. So I'm going to be putting the whisk down now, and I will be using my spatula to finish incorporating everything. And this already starts looking creamy and moist, and it is really going to be moist. Initially, when I just started baking, you know, you used to hear to know that the cake is baked, you insert a toothpick in it, you know, one of those pick things in it, and when it comes out clean, then you know that the cake is baked. What I get to realize is that when you do that, you're a little bit too late, because you can end up with a dry cake. What you need to do, of course, you need to time your cake. If there's a timer on how long the cake takes to bake, you time it. And about 5 to 10 minutes before the timer is up, you can insert that pick in it. It should not come out moist, but it will not come out extremely clean. You can turn off the oven at that time and leave the cake in it, because the heat in the oven will actually finish cooking the cake. Alright, so this is my cake mixture. I'm going to be greasing my 8-inch thin, and I'm also going to be lining them with some parchment paper before I put them in the oven. Alright, so I'm pouring out. I'm gonna pour out the mixture now. I have 2 baking tins here. This is a 7-inch baking tin, and this is a 9-inch baking tin. I'm not gonna fold this one up because I'm actually going to be doing a double layer cake, so I don't want this to be completely full. So I'm gonna pour this out now. So I promised a little boy a birthday cake, so this is why I'm doing this little 7-inch one for him. Actually, this is really just the beginning, because I'm going to be doing a mirror glaze cake. I'm excited to do the glaze. Alright, so I'm going to be putting these in the oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Just have to get rid of the additional air bubble. My oven is already preheated, and I'm going to put them in now. Alright, so when they're baked, I'll show you the finishing product. Alright guys, so look at the chocolate cake. You can see the moisture already, and I added a little bit more moisture to it after I took it out of the oven. I added some mixture of coffee to it, and the reason why I did that is because after they have been completely cooled, I'm gonna put it in the fridge to further chill, because I'm going to frost these and freeze them, and after freezing them I'm going to be putting on the mirror glaze, so it needed the additional moisture. But this is a chocolate cake, and I really like the outcome. So when I glaze it, when I frost it and glaze it and everything is ready, then I will cut it, and you can be the judge of the texture. Alright guys, so last night I baked some cakes. The cakes are currently in the refrigerator chilling. I'm going to be making a frosting for those cakes. So in here I have 1.5 cups of room temperature butter. The butter can't be too soft or it will not hold the frosting. To this I'm going to add 4.5 cups of sifted granulated sugar. But the first thing I'm going to do is to cream this butter to a light texture. It should be fluffy and light. So I'm going to start creaming this now before I add the granulated sugar to it. I'm actually making a vanilla buttercream frosting for the cakes. So I'm going to start it. So I'm gonna be scraping the side of the bowl down so that I'm getting all the butter. So this is the consistency that I'm looking for. What I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be adding the granulated sugar to the butter. You're gonna add it like in small amount, because like if you add everything one time, you're gonna get like this puff of powder all over the place. You're gonna add it in small batches, and ensure that you sift it just to get out any form of lumps that may be in it. And ensure that you sift the sugar each cup before you put it inside the mixture or add it to the butter. I'm breaking up some of these lumps because I want the entire sugar. Spatula was breaking the lumps, so I'm using a spoon to get rid of some of the lumps so I can properly sift this sugar. And this one is really lumpy. Alright, so I'm going to start mixing on a low speed. So let me clean this side of the bowl. Mixing on a low speed just to prevent, you know, the mess with the sugar. I'm going to continue adding sugar to this, and before I add anything else, I will show you what the consistency looks like before I add the remaining ingredients. Alright guys, so I've incorporated the icing sugar in the butter. What I want you to note is that sometimes you may see some buttercream frosting like it looks white. That is dependent on the type of butter that you use, because you have some butter that have a brighter color yellow and some of a paler color yellow. This that I'm using here is the unsalted anchor, but it has a little brighter yellow color. So this is what the color of the frosting looks like. What I'm going to do now is add 4 teaspoons of vanilla to this mixture, because remember I'm making a vanilla buttercream frosting. I'm also going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cream. You can use heavy whipped cream if you want to. So I'm going to be adding the salt now, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, just to give it a little bit of taste. And I'm going to be adding the cream to the mixture, or the milk. You can use heavy whipped cream, you can use whole milk, whatever you desire. So I'm going to be whipping everything together, and when I'm through with this, I'm just going to put it in the fridge just to firm up a little bit while I prepare the cakes. So I'm going to be mixing now on low speed again. Alright, so this is what it actually looks like. If you notice, it's not really dropping off the whisk. So this is what you actually want. I'm going to just take a little bit to feel it. And I'm also going to give it a little taste test. This is good. So I'm going to clean off the whisk now. And I'm going to cover this with a cling wrap. Leave it in the refrigerator for about 5 to 10 minutes while I prepare the cake. I just want it to firm up a little bit more. So I'm gonna prepare the cakes and then I will be doing my frosting.